Welcome back, everyone, to the Slim Flippers podcast. We have Kathy from I Love to Be Selling. Kathy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Wes. Thank you for having a city girl come in.
We appreciate you joining us here on the Slim Flippers. Excited to have you here on the podcast. And let's just dive right in. We were talking off camera just a minute ago. You had some things that you wanted to discuss, so I'm just going to give you some free rein and let you jump into some things that you deem and seem that are important. So let's get into it.
I'm Kathy Terrill, and I'm selling on eBay. I do sell multi-channel for over 15 years. So I've seen a lot of things come and go, and things that might have sold a while ago that aren't selling so well now. So I'll give you a heads up on that kind of thing. But I started selling very casually, like a lot of us do, really to declutter, because in New York City, we don't have attics and basements. We just have lots of shelves. And so to declutter, as I was taking care of my mom. And then after my mom passed, then I grew and scaled my eBay. And my background's performing arts, which is why I landed in New York City. So I worked here in the city. I worked off-Broadway, off-Broadway, and on TV.
Wow.
Yep, shows like Law & Order, Special Victims, and also did soap operas back in the day, All My Children, Another World, Guiding Light, in case people recognize my smiling face from any of that. I had a national commercial, too, for Hallmark cards, of all things.
Wow, my mom used to work at a Hallmark.
Did she really?
Back in the day.
Yep.
She sure did, yeah.
Yep, so it was a series.
I feel honored to talk to you. She may know who you are. Who knows?
Well, I said it was a series. Gosh, I can't remember. It was an older gentleman, and it was a lot of it was in Hallmark card shops. Mm-hmm. And I was the voiceover for the Hallmark commercial.
Give me your best voiceover real quick. Let's hear it.
Well, my voice right now is a voiceover voice, so it's good.
Please buy Hallmark cards today.
Exactly. And welcome to Slim Pickers.
There you go. Thank you.
So you're welcome. So what I was talking about with Wes, while we were talking beforehand, was really, and listening to some of your other shows, is really focusing on when you're sourcing, whether you're a new flipper or more experienced, is to really keep an eye on the shelf life of the items that you're buying. It's fine to have some things that are going to sit for a while, like perhaps a year and a half, if you're going to be doubling, tripling, quadrupling your money. But realize that anything that's sitting on the shelf you're literally looking at cash. You're looking at cash on your shelf, on your closet, in your bin, however you're storing. You're looking at money. So the sooner you can take that money that you're looking at and turn it into money that's going into your wallet and into your bank account, the better off you are.
But would you agree, though, a lot of people, though, they think they buy things either emotionally or whatever, and they make those mistakes. They don't really buy things that people are really buying. Would you agree that that's a mistake even?
And it's one that newer sellers make, but believe it or not, Wes, also more experienced sellers can make it too, which is you'll see something and you just love it. You love the color, or it might be a style you like, or it could be something that you sold very successfully. This is my experienced sellers, that you sell something that you did a killing on maybe a year and a half ago. And you go, oh, that eBay shirt, I sold that 2 years ago and I got, all this money for it. And you make the number one error, which is you forget to research the current selling price. It's very much like the stock market, which is, yes, that's what you got a year ago or a year and a half ago, but it's not what it's selling for now. And so, and it's real hard because you got to tie yourself down. This will happen to me regularly, is because you see it and you like it, and maybe it has a great memory for you. That can happen too. If you see something that's like a memory for you from your childhood or early adulthood or whatever, or maybe something your mom had, but you go on eBay and this thing doesn't sell. And not only does it not sell, there's 30 of them already listed and they're not selling, which means you're going to be 31. So
right off the bat, you're saying we need to emotionally detach from anything.
As much as you can, and it's hard. If you want to buy it for yourself because it is a memory, like it's something that your mom had or your grandma had or something that you had in it, and then admit it. You know what? I'm buying this as a memory. I'm not buying to resell, or if it sells, great, but I'm really buying for the memory. But you've got to look up the price and also, Wes, what it's currently selling for. And the good news is, and same thing too, it can also work in reverse, which is you had something and it took forever to get rid of, but now that thing is hot. So it can work in the reverse, which is you go buy that thing and you're like, oh, I had that 5 years ago. I practically gave it away. That stupid thing. I'm never buying another one. But you know what? Look it up. Because guess what? Sometimes those things that you had to give away 3 or 4 years ago, now they're hot. And all of a sudden it's going for $60, $70, $80. It's flying out the door. So use your phone. Years ago, we were all hiding our phones when we're out shopping. I don't now. I just pull it out. Now, I don't wear an eBay shirt when I am in stores buying to resell. I'll have a regular shirt on. I don't have my eBay hat on. I don't have an eBay bag. I just have like regular clothing. But I'll pull out my phone. Everybody else is on their phone. I'll pull out my phone and I'll look it up. And the good news is that eBay's promised us that on the app, and they're not telling us when, so depending on when you listen to this, it might be live, they are putting Terrill on the app, which is huge when that rolls out. I mean, when it does, like we'll all be dancing in the street.
Right. Because
Terrill's research goes back 3 years. When you look on your phone, it's a lot more recent. You're not going back 3 years. So at least you get an idea, though, is this thing moving? And the other thing you'll see, like when I was saying, if there's 30 of them listed and you click solds and none have sold or only one, you're going to be 31. Unless if everything that's listed is used or a certain size and yours is a different size, where the one you're looking at is distinctive. It's new in package. It's a different size. Maybe it's a plus size. Oftentimes that'll sell better, or it's a very petite. There's something about it that it really sets it apart. Then you take a look at that. But otherwise, you got to like tie your arms down and keep walking.
Well, one of your latest videos, I was watching it, and you inspired me this weekend because I think we all have that death pile. And you said, take like 12 things and end them and go back and really look at them, see what you have in your title. Can you fix that, change that? And so I got 9 of them done so far.
Good for you, Wes.
Two of them have sold. So
see?
Yeah.
Yay! That's fantastic. It's Chase years ago. So if you listen to eBay podcast, and I was on the eBay radio show, which was the predecessor to the podcast, and I've been on the podcast too. It used to always be recommended by Griff, who is the host for the podcast, who's a very knowledgeable guy, sells on eBay, longtime eBay staffer, great guy. They used to really recommend, and I remember being at eBay Open when eBay used to do the big live events in Vegas, and they would stand on stage and they would tell people, do not end your listings, go through and revise them. And they would encourage you to revise. So you would click revise, you would try to come up with new keywords in your title, you try to, maybe take some new pictures, rewrite your description, but they did not want you ending the listings. And that was because they would really emphasize it would take Google 30 days or more to index your items. You didn't want to end it because then it would hurt you with Google, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. Well, then all of a sudden about 2 years ago, they changed their tune. And lately they've really changed their tune, which is if it's more than a couple of months old, and my caveat to that is unless it's a very rare collectible, and I'll talk about that in a second, if it's really a couple months old and it hasn't sold, kill it, end it, sell similar, don't hit relist, because relist literally just recreates the listing exactly the way it is, and you don't want that because it hasn't sold. Sell similar, which means you're getting a new eBay listing number. eBay thinks it's a new item. But eBay search isn't stupid, and I used to hear people, there might be some people still saying this, saying, all you got to do is hit sell similar and just list it. Well, again, maybe a couple years ago that would work because eBay search wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. And it is. So let's say you just do sell similar. Wes goes, I listen to Kathy, but I can't be bothered to change anything. I don't have the time. I'm busy coaching my kids. Sell similar and you list it. You will get a slight bump in search at the beginning because it's newly listed. However, and it might sell from that. If it does, yay. Rarely, or not very often, let's just put it that way. Because very rapidly, eBay recognizes, Wes had this listed before. It's the same old shirt that he had before. He's trying, forget about it. So you get that slight boost, and then very rapidly, eBay recognizes it as that stale old thing that didn't sell, and boom, you're at the bottom, and you don't want that. So you do sell similar, and then just like what you did, look at it. What can I say? Is it a round neck? Is it short sleeve? Is it cotton? Is it ceramic? Is it mid-century modern? Just look at it and you go, but Kathy, I mean, they can see it's a short sleeve shirt, or they can see it's a rooster, or they can see it's ceramic. I don't care. Put it in the title. You've got 80 characters, use them. Then the next thing is look at your pictures. Your first picture is called your hero image, okay?
And let me stop you real quick.
Yeah.
That right there is, and you said that on your podcast too, or your YouTube video. You go and look at those pictures because the thing that you thought was really great when you first put it up, I went and looked at a couple of mine, and I was like, the lighting was horrible. You couldn't really see what I had, and so I completely revamped it, and I've been at it a while now, so I've gotten a lot better. But it really let me see glaring mistakes that you were talking
Good
about.
for you. And the other thing too is, because it might have been up for, let's say, like a year, is what you've been diligently listening and listening to people's YouTubes and listening to people's podcasts, and you've got great guests on. And you've learned a lot. So like within 6 months or a year, and we're all learning, Wes. I mean, right. Please, sellers that are successfully selling when they've been at it for 10 or 15 years, they're doing it because they keep learning. And if you don't keep learning, you're in trouble because the internet is constantly changing. eBay is constantly changing. But for instance, one of the easiest ways to improve your pictures, unless you want to pull out a light box or something, or go in the backyard with some decent lighting, nice sunny day, and take pictures, is the eBay background removal tool. Right. If you haven't used it within the last 8 months, is so much better than what it was a couple of years ago. I mean, a couple of years ago, like I'm looking at you with a zip-up shirt, is you'd have the zip-up shirt and you would click background remover and half the shirt would vanish. I mean, it would just be gone. It was just gone. And it was just a hot mess. Now, handbags are tough because the handles are so thin. Mm-hmm. So if it's like sneakers and like the shoelace is sticking out, I mean, things where you just know it's going to be a little tough. But basically, like most shirts, most home decor, things like puzzles, games, plush, if you click the background removal and it's on the app, you can do it in either way. You can do it on the app or you can do it on the desktop. It is so good. I mean, bam, it's gone, and it just pops your picture. I mean, all of a sudden that shirt's got even if you photographed it with a white background, the background removal is a really bright, crisp white, and it really pops it. And then if you want, you can hit the cropping tool and just sort of tighten it up a little bit so that your image is a little bigger when they're hitting search. Mm-hmm. So in 3 seconds, you've dramatically improved your image. And the reason that will help you sell, 1, eBay recognizes a change has been made, and 2 is you now have a really clear, crisp background, great image, which helps. And think about this, and if you guys don't shop on eBay, first of all, it's fun, but get out your phone and pull things up on eBay, like look at t-shirts, look at vases, look at puzzles, whatever you're listing, and take a look at people's pictures. And the ones with that nice clean background, they really stand out. It helps you to grab your shopper's eyes because they're just, they're flipping through while they're watching TV, or, if they got a break at work or whatever, and you want your image to stand out. Right. And then you've got that new title, maybe a couple of new keywords. You've really gotten your image to pop. Double check your price, make sure you're competitive, and then you've got a great listing. And then like what you did, and then you got sales, and you didn't even have to list anything new. It was just cleaning up the old listing.
That old inventory. And like in your death pile, I think we get complacent because you're like, I've got that listed, and you really just forget about it.
Yeah.
And you're trying to bring in new inventory, and then you get a death pile going, and you have this. I'll get that here, and 3 weeks later, you still haven't got it listed. So to me, that's the biggest struggle of all. But and then the other part of it is, and you talked about this in your video too. When you start comparing yourself to other people, that can get in a bad way for you because you don't feel like you're doing your due diligence and you don't think you're a very good reseller.
Well, the other thing was, and you've had enough guests on, and you've got truth tellers on your show, which I'm glad, is I know this will shock you, but not everybody's giving you the full picture.
Right.
So
right.
they'll get on, and because I'll see this on Instagram, and they're showing you, oh, this just sold for $50 or $60, or I only paid $1. And I remember this one person, and they were showing all the packages because, it's the big thing on Monday on Instagram, if you haven't noticed, is people put up pictures of everything they sold. They do the same thing on Facebook, but on Instagram a lot.
Right.
And this one seller had, literally it was like piles of packages going out. And everybody's like, oh, this is, yay, it's so great and everything. And then like 4 or 5 days later, the seller talked about their killer sales strategy. They were she said, I took offers of any amount to clean out old inventory. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
if that's your strategy, but that's why she had all the sales, and she was taking hits on a lot of the stuff. So yes, we had a big pile of packages. Yes, like 20 or 30 things were going out, but she only made like $10, $15 because she said, I took any offer. I just wanted the stuff out. I didn't care. I didn't care if I lost money.
And see, if you don't know that as a new reseller, that's going to be kind of depressing
you
too.
Feel like, what am I, and plus it's somebody, they've got kids and, they're a busy mom. And I'm thinking, if I was thinking, hey, I'm a busy mom and I don't have 30 packages going out. What's wrong with me? Well, if you were selling everything for like $3 or $4 and you had paid more than that for it, you might have seen some more things going out too. And again, when things have been there a long time and you just want to clear it out, or perhaps you got some inventory for free so you can take stuff for really low prices. But oftentimes, somebody can sell one thing, but they made $50, $60, $80, $100. I have one seller friend who sells high-end collectibles. And so, she can make $100 on a sale because of what she's paying and what she sells the stuff for, and only sell 1 or 2 things and make more money than that person who's got a pile. So always realize when people are showing you things is you may not know the whole story behind it. And particularly when you're a part-time seller, and this can be really hard, is to not compare yourself to a full-time seller. Because somebody who has 8-10 hours a day to sell is just not in the same circumstance as people that have an hour and a half, 2 hours, and sometimes it's like 5 hours a week. That's all you have. And you know what? If that's good for you. You've got 5 hours a week. You've decided you want to be selling on eBay. So in that 5 hours, what's doable? You want to do a certain amount of listing, because if it's not listed, it can't sell. You always want to ship on time, because that's like the number one no-no on eBay is to ship late. So you make sure you get your stuff packaged and out the door. And then the time that you've got left over, you're either sourcing, and for a lot of us, you can source out of your closet, like what you were saying, Wes, or to look at things that I don't have listed, and to get them up and to prioritize. But always shipping is your top priority. Stuff has to get out on time.
Well, like currently right now, I've got, and you were talking about your stuff in your closet. I've got over 400 something listings,
and
I'm really wanting to walk it back and go back and get those things that are sitting, that are not moving, and figure out what's wrong with them. So that was the inspiration I got from you. That the 12, just try to get 12, and then I'm gonna try to get 12 more. So
then what you do is, for people that didn't listen to the video, is if you're not aware of this, when you go into your seller hub, and you don't need to have a store for this, okay? So whether you have a store or you don't have a store, you go to active listings. So you listings, and you're looking at your active listings, everything that's listed. And then look at your seller hub, the little pills across the top, and it will say start date. And that's when you listed it. And it will default, I believe it defaults to the oldest, but everybody might be a little different. You can click it. So in case yours is defaulting to newly listed, just click it so that you see your older listings first. And then again, depending on how much you've got up, always try to pull down a couple. So let's say, you're working on your death pile, which is great. So for maybe every 2 or 3 new listings you put up, you're going to pull down the same amount of old listings or 2 old listings, but try to do it both ways. So new stuff's going up, and then also pull some of your old stuff down, and then sell similar. Don't relist and rework it.
Right. For sure. I mean, that was inspiring to me, and I wanted to tell you that because,
Thank you, Wes.
and you talked about like that person that just sold that one thing, and you celebrate. So I celebrated my 2 little sales that I had. I was like, "This is for you, Kathy." Yes, I did it. Woo!
Good for you. And I was talking about, there was a person on Instagram, and I remember her, again, because you're scrolling through and you're seeing these people with these 30, 40, 50 packages, and she had one sale. And she had packaged it beautifully, a really pretty printed poly mailer, and put it up and just said, and this is my sale from the weekend, without any apology. It was like she was proud of this one sale. And I remember thinking, this woman is going to win because she is celebrating her one sale. She's not making apologies for it. And not only that, she clearly took great pride in it because she had a cute little mailer. Plus, she's taking a picture of it. She's putting it on Instagram and celebrating it. And I thought, good for you. And you know what? And I have no idea what the profit she made on that, because she might have made $30 on that, which is better than some of the people with their piles. And she celebrated it. And I went, that's what you do. You get those 3 listings up, you celebrate it. Like you pull down some of those old listings, you celebrate it because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And sometimes you have to throw rose petals out in front of yourself, right? Out in front of your own path.
You got to do it. And again, sometimes people are like, oh, I just listed 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever. It may not be doable to do that every day. And the problem is when you push yourself really, really hard. And again, we all have different personalities. So for you, it might be great to do that. But the thing is, if you push yourself really, really hard, so let's say you push yourself really hard, and normally you do 3 or 4 listings a day, and you just really pushed and you got up 20. What can happen is that you are so exhausted after doing that, you're like flat out for like 3 days. So it's like, okay, you got it up, but then you're totally wiped out for 3 or 4 days. So I'm very much from the school of, and I don't know if this is the way you coach for your teams, is I'm in it for the long haul. So pace yourself.
Pace. Yeah, you got to pace yourself.
I always say with my members is I'm in a marathon. I'm not in a sprint. So pace yourself. So
the burnout will hit you, like you said, really quickly. It'll knock you off your feet for 2 or 3 days, and you're like, I don't know if I can keep this up.
Well, this is a coach. I mean, you want to push yourself. So sometimes I might be a little bit sore. Like I'll go to the gym, and in fact, I was there Sunday. And I was actually working some chest stuff a little bit harder than I normally do. So then I figured, I might be a little sore the next day, but I pushed myself a bit so that I might be a little sore. I didn't quadruple my normal workout, because if I do, I know me, I won't be able to walk for 2 or 3 days. And I don't want to be like that. So it's that thing of to push yourself, to challenge yourself, because you want to develop your selling muscles, but you don't want to do it to the point where it's going to literally take you 3 or 4 days to recuperate. It's pacing yourself.
It's definitely pacing yourself. One thing that I wanted to ask you about for young resellers, do you pay yourself as a young reseller? And if you do, how do you do that? Because some people they'll set aside their own bank account for this business, and then they're like, well, I'm not really making a whole lot of money. Tax wise, how do you go about paying yourself? Because I think first of all, you're not making a lot of money. That's hard to do.
First of all, it's different for everybody. So at the beginning, what I encourage you to do, and this can also be, if you're intermediate, like for some sellers is you were selling, and then maybe you walked away from selling. I was just working with somebody like this, and now you're coming back. Do you know what I mean? So we all have different circumstances. Don't buy, I always say, don't buy anything. Buy shipping supplies. You want a postage scale. You really want a postage scale if you're shipping on eBay. But don't buy anything. Don't go shopping for inventory. Tie your hands down and just sell what's in your home. Go around your house with a box, with a suitcase, whatever you want, and go through your closets and go through everything. Go through your drawers, go through your kitchen. Believe it or not, a lot of kitchen stuff sells. Gadgets sell, your appliances sell. Go through your bathroom. If it's brand new makeup and nobody's worn it or used it and the expiration date is good, makeup sells. Toothpaste sells. I've sold toothpaste on eBay. So toothpaste sells. I mean, you name it, you can sell it on eBay, but just go around the house. Anything that looks good and nice goes in the box. And if it's cool and vintage sells on eBay. It goes in the box. Then you're going to research. You're going to learn everything. You're going to be listening to us and listening to me on YouTube and podcast and get listing. Once you start listing, even if you're only getting up a couple listings a week, every time you sell, because you're only taking stuff from around your house, you're not shopping yet, you put the money aside. This is what I did. It's your stash. You're creating your stash. Sell. So you got $50, you got $100, you got whatever. And that's what you're going to go shopping for inventory. You got your $50, you got your $100. That's all you're going to spend. That's all you have. Now, out of your stash, your 50, your 100, your 200, if you want to buy yourself a treat or buy something, or you've got a bill that needs to get paid, like Kathy, I need to pay my cell phone bill or my kid's cell phone bill, totally fine. But that's your stash, and it's up to you what you want to do with it. But sell what you have on hand first. Create that stash, then go shopping. And once you get shopping, whether you're part-time or full-time, so you've been selling, Kathy, I cleaned out my closets, I've gone through, the kitchen, and now we're outsourcing. Every time you're selling, so you're making 100, 200, 1,000, whatever it is, I always put a certain amount aside, again, and I call it my stash, because you don't know when you're going to come across the mother lode. You're going to walk into the store. Actually, this just happened to me. I got a killer deal on some stuff, and it was like I just went out and spent a couple $100 on something, but it came out of my stash. Because every time I sell, I put a little bit aside, a little bit aside, a little bit aside. So when you walk to that yard sale or that thrift store or that retail store or a seller friend who's going out of business, because this will happen. I've done this.
They call you over. Hey, you want to come?
And they sell you everything.
Right.
I mean, I've gotten a couple of killer deals that way, but you've got to be able to all of a sudden shell out a certain amount of money. So whatever you sell, I always put a little bit aside, a little bit aside. So your stash might be 50, somebody else's is 100, somebody else's is 500, somebody else's is 1,000, because maybe they're buying pallets. But always put a little something aside and know that's how much I've got. So when you will come across crazy deals, and you will come across things where all of a sudden you got to shell out more than you typically spend. But because you've got that little stash, you're okay, and you're not going to be putting it on credit cards and getting yourself in trouble.
Well, I'd like for people that are on my podcast to know where they can find you. If you would tell them where you're available.
Sure. So I've got a website, and you can do links to I Love to Be Selling. And on the website, you'll see, and I have a podcast, Kathy Terrill, I Love to Be Selling, and it's on iTunes, and it's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, pretty much everywhere. And my YouTube channel, Kathy Terrill, I Love to Be Selling. And what I did want to say, because one thing that can help you with selling things quickly, and Wes and I were talking about this, is to keep your mind on the seasons. Not that, like, for instance, Christmas sells year round, we know that, but to think about what time of year it is. And right now, because we're in April, is prom season, and it's Mother's Day. And so there's certain things that if you're outsourcing, or if you're going through your unlisted inventory, or your old inventory that hasn't sold, and you need to take a look at it, like, why isn't this selling? Keep an eye out and think about things that are good for prom, good for Mother's Day, and then right behind it is Father's Day, graduation gifts. A lot of people do some spring camping. It's also spring hunting season, depending on what kind of things you're sourcing. And keep an eye out for those kind of things. And I've got a freebie up on my website. So if you look at ilovetobeselling.com, you'll see there's a freebie guide, what sells on eBay for Mother's Day. And it's free. Just download it. You put your email in, but that way I can send it to you. And I don't have to do it. I have it automated. It goes to you. But take a look at that, because a lot of times, like for Mother's Day or Father's Day, people might think, oh, Mom's, like, I don't have any women's clothing. Like, I don't have anything for Mother's Day. Same thing for Father's Day. Oh, I don't have any men's clothing. So I have to. No. Mother's Day is huge. A lot of categories sell for Mother's Day. So don't overlook it, because I bet anything, unless you're my friend Joe who only sells hubcaps, but I bet there's a mom out there that would love a set of hubcaps for Mother's Day. But it'll give you a lot of ideas of things that sell. Same thing too for dads. There's a lot of categories that sell for men's. So take a look at the Mother's Day guide. It'll help you a lot.
See, I knew you were going to be great for the Slim Flippers podcast because
Oh, you're a sweetheart.
I got to watching you and I was like, this lady is quite interesting. You have a plethora of knowledge to give to people, and I appreciate you coming and joining me today.
And Wes, I appreciate you. I mean, with your heart for kids, with the coaching that you do, if people don't listen to you all the time, I mean, to do that and be dedicated to the kids, and at the same time just love selling and want to be selling on the side, and that's what I think is so great is you can be very, very profitable. And again, profitable is different for everybody. For some people, profitable is they just need an extra 50 or 100 a week. Some folks want some more. Is you can absolutely be very, very profitable selling on eBay part-time. Because you got to look at what works for you and for your family and to enjoy it.
Well, and I'm a realist. I have certain parameters like I like to work in, but I don't have to make those thousands of dollars. I'm happy doing what I do. But it's helpful to me, and as far as my income that comes in. So, and I really enjoy it. It's just like getting to meet people like you here across the internet. People that I never would have met in my life, but just to come across people and to gain knowledge. That's one of the reasons why I started the Slim Flippers, because when I started reselling, I wanted to really learn what it took. So what better way to do it than open up a forum like this and talk to people that, if they can give you a little bit of their time like you've done today, which I really appreciate.
That's my pleasure.
It's very helpful. And I do appreciate you coming in today.
My pleasure.
Well, that is all the time we have today on the Slim Flippers podcast. Again, Kathy, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.
You too, Wes. Bye-bye, everybody.